Very much, President Trump. Nice to see you got off the roof all right.
Yeah.
You said this morning that you probably won't be running for a third term. This weekend, Secretary of State Rubio said that he thought JD Vance would be a great nominee. You could clear the entire Republican field right now. Do you agree that the heir apparent to MAGA is JD Vance?
Well, I think most likely, in all fairness, he's the vice president. I think Marco is also somebody that maybe would get together with JD in some form. I also think we have incredible people, some of the people on the stage right here. So it's too early, obviously, to talk about it, but certainly he's doing a great job, and he would be probably favored at this point.
While we're looking at the Democrats, let's look at who could be the next US president, of course, in 2028. And JD Vance is twice as likely to be the next president of the United States as any Democrat, according to Polymarket. Polymarket has his chance of becoming president at 28%, and then Gavin Newsom at 14%. What do you put this down to?
I put this down to, I honestly think a lot of people, again, I'm a conservative, there's no secret about it whatsoever, but I can say that the sentiment of those that are still, that I'm friends with that aren't necessarily conservative, actually, JD Vance was very well received by them. And I was surprised by that because I think when he was initially announced as the vice president, there was a little bit of a lack of enthusiasm for, wow, this is a sucker punch kick right in the moment that he was announced. I remember distinctively on X between conservatives. And I think this stems from, to answer your question, Gabriella, is that the day that JD Vance walked on stage and did that vice presidential debate, that was such a pivotal moment for him in so many ways. And coupling that with how he's acted as a vice president, this is probably the least dormant vice president we've ever had. Conservatives were not happy with Vice President Pence at the time. I mean, obviously, people were not happy with Kamala Harris as the vice president. Obama, when Joe Biden was vice president, people were just always calling him Crazy Uncle Joe, and he had hardly any stake in the game. We've really lost here in America that sense of seriousness, of responsibility for someone as the vice president. And we've seen it, I think, also by default, because President Trump doesn't really have the doors closed for press. So you're seeing so many opportunities where the vice president has to actually take action, speak and answer and fulfill a role that we a lot of times just kind of put to the side. So I think that's really it. People are happy with him, whether you want to hyper focus on the latest with President Trump that people would like to debate about for sure. But Vice President Vance has been very consistent since the day that he went into those vice presidential debates, and he's only gotten stronger. And seeing this administration and him acting in it has almost, people might have been able to, or thought maybe to chalk it up as, oh, it was beginner's luck, or you probably were going to do pretty darn well against, say, Tim Walz. But it's so much more than that now. So I think that's where the numbers are coming from. And no one wants to see Gavin Newsom as president. You can take 2 seconds and look at his new PR stunt when he went on the Sean Ryan show and said that he would happily accept a firearm and that he has no issue with the Second Amendment. And then after that interview happened, and of course, individuals on the left and the right were bothered by Gavin Newsom cosplaying as some sort of conservative. It turned out, and this is public information now, is that Gavin Newsom did not accept that gun. And it was because he said in his own words that the California laws were too confusing for the average person, let alone himself. And he didn't want to have to deal with all of the hoops to jump through to obtain that firearm as a gift from Sean Ryan. So if you don't understand the Constitution and you're making your own state difficult in trying to exercise their natural rights, well, then you're probably not going to be president.
Well, there's no denying he's certainly eyeing off the top job, and I'm sure we will be hearing him on some more podcasts.